Wayno got to go back to health class, man. Nigga really thought because he went to fucking health class, he immune to this shit. Y'all niggas is tweaking.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Struggle. Nadeska, Akademiks, and Wayno here. Now, I have to mention that yesterday, was just 24 hours ago, Wayno completely unbothered by the coronavirus. Since then, the World Health Organization has declared a pandemic. Over 125,000 confirmed cases and 4,000
put the Purell in the gloves. How you gonna
Akademiks, bro.
What's up?
You look like a
Wayno.
Cool out. Yo,
you're just wasting hand sanitizer.
Yeah, you're wasting.
Right
you
now.
just put hand sanitizer on the gloves. What's wrong with you?
I just gotta say, listen, the NBA's canceled. They canceled E3. I was supposed to go there. They canceled Coachella. Shit, we might be doing the shit from home. We should probably start taking precautions. You're looking too fly and fresh out here like you don't care about niggas coughing.
Wayno, you weren't bothered until they suspended the NBA season. He didn't even care. He said the kids could go to school. Wayno had no problems.
Wait.
Then they suspended the NBA season.
No, I did not say that. So, all right. So look, right? Yeah. So no, this is the thing. All right, I go to my other place of employment or whatever, and they're taking a lot of precautions. They actually closed down the entire building. I'm like, all right, cool. I go home, kids come home and everything, and then I'm like, I start thinking like, nah, this is kind of getting out of hand. Then when I was watching the game, and in the middle of the game, they said that they sent everybody home from at the OKC arena, and then Rudy Gobert was diagnosed with it, and then right after that, they said the NBA season was suspended.
That was a really long story to confirm what I just said, that he was absolutely not worried until they suspended.
I wouldn't say I wasn't worried. I just was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't know how serious a thing it was.
Right.
That was affecting shit on a massive scale until I went to my job and they said that tomorrow the building is going to be closed.
Right.
And then also that a lot of other buildings in the music industry was going to be closed.
Yeah, it's definitely a serious issue, and I know Akademiks looks ridiculous right now, so feel free
No.
him.
Listen, let me tell you this. It's the first time I actually found the Birdman hand rub actually useful. Washing your hands, that's it. I'm gonna take it off for now, but if any of y'all niggas cough, it's back on, okay?
On a serious note, it's hard to have a serious conversation about this. No, some complex employees are going to start working from home, and we are trying to figure out a contingency plan just in case we actually needed to record from home so we can still do the show. But for now, we're still here with you. Right, guys? Yeah. Ak, you good? You going to take the gloves off?
No, we're not taking the gloves
off. The day from Akademiks.
No, I'm not taking the gloves off.
Now, obviously,
I got my products right there. We're going to be going on.
He wants to be unhealthy any other day. Now he wants to brush his teeth.
Wayno go to the gym, you think he immune. He got a little trainer. You know what I mean? He think he immune to the fucking coronavirus because he got you doing dips and squats. Get out of here, nigga. Let's go.
See, I can't I'm trying to be serious here, and he wants to keep making jokes out of shit.
It's hard to have any serious conversations with Akademiks. All right, how about this? Let's talk about something a little bit more positive then. It is Women's History Month, and so don't sound surprised, because we each picked a woman that we wanted to honor today, right, Ak? Yeah.
Lauryn Hill is my pick. I love Lauryn Hill. And, while I do think, over time, people have said a lot of things about her that kind of nitpicks at her legacy. I do think she's a wonderful human being whose music, again, I like musicians who make music not only for the purpose of just gaining revenue or just entertaining. Like, they have some purpose behind it, and I've always seen her to be that person, whether it was, dropping her second album as she did. Like, she was going through a lot of spiritual shit, and also she was seeing shit going on in the world that she feel like if she didn't include in her music, that it wouldn't be true to self and true to character. Also, if you ever heard her speak, she, again, is not a typical entertainer who just all about self. She was definitely very much concerned with the well-being of her people and the well-being of people her music affected. So, I think she's been a great representative for women, at least in terms of entertainers. And I always look to the positive when it comes to her.
Okay, thank you, Ak.
That was dope. I picked MC Lyte. The funny thing about MC Lyte is probably the first girl like I had as a crush as a kid. No, seriously, that was the first rapper that I ever seen. First female rapper that I ever seen. The first CD I ever bought was MC Lyte's first album. But the reason why I picked MC Lyte was because I don't think that she's highlighted as much as she should be for being a pioneer. I mean, we get to talk about Lil' Kim's a lot, Foxy, Queen Latifah. MC Lyte was one of the first, young entertainers in this game. And when I think about her, I also see that she does like a lot of women empowerment. Like she does a lot of different events with my homegirl Miss Diddy from LA. MC Lyte, like I said, she's just transcended so many different ways like throughout her career, and I thought that she needed to be highlighted.
Thank you, Wayno. I picked Missy Elliott. I grew up on Missy, and like she has some big accolades. She's won Grammys. I think at one point she was named like the best-selling female rapper by Nielsen. But just at the time when you grew up in an era where we had artists like Kim and Foxy, who I both love, but you know, female rappers, a lot of them are hypersexualized, which is good. It's good to own your sexuality and flaunt your sexuality. But I think Missy made it clear to a lot of us that like there were more options. If you ever seen in her videos like Super Duper Fly or Sock It To Me, it's just so out of this world. The things she was wearing, the concept she was doing at the time, she was very experimental. I think she really pushed the genre forward. And then she was also really good at working with other people. Obviously, she worked a lot with Timbaland, with Aaliyah, and then she wrote for a ton of people as well. Whitney Houston, Monica, Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige. It's crazy. Last year, she was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. I think she was the first female rapper to be inducted. So I love that she's always been really, really big on collaboration. And I think we couldn't have an artist like Lizzo without someone like Missy. We know that Lizzo looks up to her a lot, and they actually got to collaborate last year, which I think is super, super dope. I just think Missy is one of the greatest artists of all time.
Absolutely. I agree with you there.
All right, so if we're actually here for the next few weeks, we're going to continue highlighting some more women for Women's History Month. And now we want to talk about some current things, including we have some songs coming up for Hit Brick or Wait on It. But first, Offset recently did an interview with High Snobiety where he talks about why he thinks music groups actually break up in the long run. We know Culture 3 is supposed to come out this year. Obviously, Migos is still doing really well together. He said, I feel like a lot of groups' failures was about the power and the fame and not being strong-minded. If someone tells you you're better than the others, you're the one, you're bigger than everybody, and you carry yourself that way after being told that, you're a weak-minded person. He said, people tell me all the time, you're married to Cardi B, you're the real star. I shut that down immediately, and it kills them so much. So it sounds like people have tried to get into his head to break up the group, but he's not having it. I respect it. What do you guys think?
I do think the Migos are a unique case, but I think it doesn't work to try to separate these guys because there's really no clear standout, like, you know, the quote-unquote Beyonce of the group. And there was a thought that Quavo was it, but then we heard the solo albums, and then we saw all three of them pretty much put out projects, and we realized that, to be honest, like, there's a dependency. Like, the best music comes when they are together. Like, it isn't like, oh, shit, we could just take this person without the others. You get me? Like, I think that might be the case a little bit with Ray Shremmer. Like, people are liking Sway Lee a lot as a solo act. But I think when it comes to the Migos, there's a dependency, and I do think the anticipation for a Culture 3 would be more anticipated, like, by and far than any individual project. So there's a codependency among them, and because of that, it allows you to say, nah, chill. Right? While each of them, I do think they're working on their personal brands. We see Quavo popping in some acting gigs. We see Offset popping in some acting gigs. He's also doing a lot of other things brand-wise. Takeoff's also doing his thing. I do think they realize when it comes to music, for them to have the impact that really changed the world and made them all pretty much pop stars, they need to be together.
That's interesting. Yeah. Wayno, do you agree? I know that of all the solo albums, I think you definitely liked Offset's.
Yeah, I like Offset.
Do you agree with this idea that they're just dependent on each other?
I mean, yeah, and at the same fact, you got to look at the fact that they are related. You know, that's a big part of it. They was, you know, family before Migos ever existed. So I think, like, that plays a big part. But I
Jackson 5 was families.
They were. But when I think about them and not comparing them, like, I love the way, like, the Lox have handled their career. I'm pretty sure that the Migos have gone through shit behind the scenes. Same way, like, Jadakiss, like, would say, like, they going through shit, but they keep it to them. I'm pretty sure that they've gone through that as well. But yeah, I think that the best music does come from them collectively. Like, the Quavo, everybody was waiting for the Quavo album, and it didn't, like, really live up to the hype of what we thought it was gonna be. I felt like Takeoffs was a bit underrated, and then Offset was just different, but collectively they make the best shit. Yeah, I don't see any reasoning for anybody trying to divide them. It would make no sense.
Right.
But that it's just a question, you know, and it's a conversation.
I'm pretty sure they've all thought of it before.
Just going like, solo, or who's the
Yeah, because, you know, like, it's impossible to ignore, like, the chatter, even though these aren't super social media dudes, to ignore the chatter of you dropping out and people like, yo, Quavo just carried on this, or damn, Offset's just like, you know, so you kind of hear that, you feed into it when you see people hyping you up, oh, you are with Cardi B, this and third, like, we just care about you. it's very easy to kind of go into that, but
well, you know, there's a lot of big personalities, especially in the music industry, and sometimes it just gets hard staying on the same page. Making music, being on tour together, spending all of that time, so that does affect a lot of other groups.
Yeah,
we have to give them credit for not ever like even fracturing like that, or at least publicly, because, and I do think that's in part because when Offset was in jail very early on in their career, I was just astonished that they would stack money for shows that they would get booked when he wasn't here. So they put aside money for him that when he came back home, he got compensated for shows he missed and all that type of stuff. That shows there's some definitely true loyalty there and goes beyond just, you know, like back in the 90s, they just kind of put groups together. And, you know, you're group mates, but you're really all for self at the end of the day.
I think that Offset, to me, I look at Offset as a bit of the leader, but I think his leadership comes from his maturity. And maturity comes from like his journey. You know what I mean? Like when you Offset, before I heard him before I seen him. Remember he was locked up when we first like heard anything from him from the mixtapes. And how he's changed his life over the past like 5 years to where he's at now, I think that he understands that it's so much more riding on the line than just beefing over who's the best in the group. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that that's what really keeps them together.
And what also keeps them different and still interesting is that they're the only group doing it. Like we got to realize they're not as interested solo-wise as they are together and how they mix it and match it and kind of like put stuff together. Like I don't get the same type of intrigue from any of their solo projects or just, you know, I mean, their solo efforts on any level as I do get from when they're together as a group. Like Migos is a thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's going to be interesting to see what they continue to do separately outside of music too. So Offset signed with like United Talent Agency, so they're supposed to represent him in multiple fields. So music, film, TV. We know he's gotten into gaming, and I finally finished the new season of Narcos. That took me a minute. Saw Quavo had his little cameo in there, so seems like they're doing their thing. All right, and now some new music. So today for Hit Brick or Wait on It, I want to start with Gunna. He has a new track called Skybox. This one is produced by Taurus, expected to be on his upcoming project called Wanna. Got a music video with this too. Hit Brick or Wait on It.
Are these safe to? Oh hell no.
You already have the gloves covered
Listen,
in
man,
sanitized.
I'm just saying. Oh no, not a
It's
brick.
so
Oh hell no.
ridiculous,
Wayne, I'm telling you, man. Until somebody close in your gated community catcher, you won't understand. I'm going hit. This is fire. This is fire. You know what? I'm really surprised this is not getting as much traction as I thought it would have. You know, it's Gunna, like he's putting out his new project, but I do think Uzi and Baby's project, which has gained a lot of like talk recently, has kind of drowned out, you know, Gunna kind of revving up the engine for his thing.
Was it a good time putting this out right after Baby drops?
Well, I don't think he necessarily has to wait on Baby, you know what I mean? But I do think they kind of share some of the same audience. If I was him, I'd probably wait a little bit, but I could imagine like Baby's gonna have a run for like 2 months. Like, we're gonna wait till after that, you know? So I think people are gonna catch on. So I'm going hit. I think this is gonna grow on people too.
Yeah, I'm going with Wait on It. I think that this song is really dope, but I think that it's not gonna have the impact that we really gonna see until like the summertime.
Okay.
The real impact on it. But yeah, it's dope. I fuck with Gunna. You know, that's one of my favorites.
All right.
We all know that.
A new one from Rich the Kid called Red. I feel like you guys have been waiting to see if he had another one in him. Second single of his upcoming album, Boss Man. This is a hit for you.
You're Rich. Bro, I don't know if you're ducking the show, but you gotta come up here and talk to me, man. I'm gonna say wait on it. I'm waiting on a lot of Rich the Kid stuff recently. Like I feel like he has such a big wave, and then he went a little quiet off of the contractual stuff that he had going on with, I believe, Interscope. And now we're seeing him kind of try to, you know, drum up excitement, but not everyone gets the Uzi like, hey, go have your label issues for 2 years, and then we're still very much in tune with the music. I think for Rich the Kid, we're looking like, you better give us that hit. Give us a song that's gonna make us interested again.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say wait on it. I don't think it's this.
Well, I think it's kind of a bit unfair to compare him to Uzi because I never looked at him in that realm, but I call this one a brick. I don't know what's going on with Rich the Kid. I think that musically he's just lost a little bit of a step, and that might be due to him having so many issues to where I feel like by the time he puts the music out, he's catching up to it. You know what I mean? It's not doing it for me.
When I compare him to Uzi, I didn't really mean, because I understand it's a completely different beast.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that he's putting out the music and it's just like he got cold a bit. Like he lost momentum.
Right.
And a lot of times in this industry, after you get hot, you ride the wave of momentum, and sometimes it might be tailing down, but slowly until you catch another one to bring you back up. I felt like he went 0 to 100, and then he went to 50 and went to 0, and then now he's trying to get it back to 100. It's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah, he hasn't coasted.
Yeah.
So,
All right, what about Joyner Lucas? So he's fallen back a little, taking a little break in the last few months. He has a new song out called Lotto. So this is supposed to be on his project ADHD, which is coming later this month. He's out of his deal with Atlantic Records, and he said after he drops this, he's planning on releasing 2 more projects. So it seems like he's about to gear up.
I'm going with it. Joyner Lucas is I think he's a great artist. You know, the thing about him, I just don't know. And that's maybe my own digging I haven't done, but I just don't know enough about him. But I think as far as music, there's nothing I really question from him. You know what I mean? Like he seems like he has the ability to compete with any and everybody there is on a single type setting. I would love to see what it does as a full album overall, but it's like, I definitely call this one a hit.
Okay.
I'm gonna go wait on it. And I'm gonna establish a barometer for where I see what a hit is and what a brick is for a Joyner. A brick to me is nobody cares, because he usually drops music that people somewhat care about or starts conversation. So that would be a brick. What a hit is on the other extreme of the spectrum is something that will probably change his career. And I think he's in that space right now where he's constantly getting conversations started with his records, or he's getting those nods to say, yo, he could rap, or respect from his peers, whether it's Chris Brown fuck with him. Like, a lot of people rock with him. But I think the true definition of a hit for him right now is a thing to, like, on a single level, bring him to that next level. And I don't think I've heard it yet. You know, I think sometimes the visuals, you know, I don't want to say drowns out the music, but like, you know, the conversation is more about that than the music. And it's really good songs, honestly, that he's putting out. But I'm still waiting for that undeniable hit. So I'm going to say wait on it for this one. But, you know, you got a project coming up, you know.
Yeah, 3 projects coming up, and that's pretty soon, too, so we'll see. So our last song for today is Blueface. Blueface has an album coming out very, very soon. This is featuring Elliot Chopper. It's called Holy Moly. So his project is called Find the Beat. Ak, we know you had bet big on Blueface early. You've also been waiting. What are your expectations for this album, and what do you think of the song?
I'm gonna say fire. I like the song. I like the song. I do think, you know, I was saying while he was dropping some hit and misses, like, hey, what happened to all the people you were in the studio with? You were with Quavo. You allegedly had a Drake song. Like, you've been collaborating a bit. You gotta start putting out the big tracks if you want people to still believe you're still that guy. And, you know, I do believe Blueface lost some momentum ever since he dropped Tatiana, but his album's coming up. He dropped a couple songs before. I don't think they were it, but I think this one is one that, you know, at least for like the audience that both them like appeal to, and only Chopper and him, that Holy Moly, like he kind of plays off his whole character. So I fuck with him. I like him. I think it'll work.
Ooh.
Break.
Oh shit!
I don't think we've ever had a hit and a brick on the same song.
While it does play off his character, it's still not grabbing me like the first shit he was doing. You know, like
Oh, so you compare him to the first single?
Yeah, most of the time I compare artists to themselves, which sometimes isn't fair, but for the artist that Blueface is, I'm not looking for him to be super lyrical, but I'm looking for him to give me that same spark that he had when I first heard him on the Bleed Him shit. The funny bars and metaphors, you know what I'm saying? Like the unconventional flow. But again, I feel like kind of like Rich the Kid is kind of missing his mark a bit. Do you think it's kind of just worn off? Because I think he's attempting it. Like, I see some of the stuff he's doing. He's definitely attempting it.
It's just not playing out. And it goes back to what I was saying in terms of novelty. Is like, yo, you tell the same joke like 5 times. The first time we laugh, it's hysterical. Second time is like, yeah, you give a nice laugh. Third time is a chuckle. By the 5th time, we're looking at you like, what else?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know. I'm not looking for him to make another Tatiana, but I'm looking for him to have a record that's gonna have like that's sort of that same impact. You know, and it's not reaching that level how it once did. For me, at least. I don't know what everybody else feels, but for me.
Okay.
You know.
Let's see what happens with the album. Maybe.
I hope he got it on it, because, you know, I was a little bit disappointed when he put out the EP Dirtbag and it only sold 15K. I was a little bit disappointed.
Okay. We'll see soon. All right, so today Speaking about artists that we may or may not be disappointed in, On the Clock segment. We recently put YBN Almighty J on the clock, and today's contender is YBN Nahmir. So he had his big breakout year back in 2017. He had a hit called Rubbing Off the Paint. 2018, he had another one with Bounce Out with that. And that same year, he signed to Atlantic Records. He made the XXL freshman class, and they dropped a YBN compilation mixtape. So that was a good year for him. Last year, we got a few songs from him like Baby 8 and Fuck It Up with City Girls and Tyga. And most recently, this past January, he dropped a song called Talkin' along with a video. Would you guys put Nahmir on the clock?
Just reading that timeline, I didn't realize that Bounce Out with that came right around the cusp of him joining Atlantic. Because if that's the case, I would probably say everything he's dropped since Atlantic, which that's supposed to be the engine and the quote-unquote machine, it ain't really working. Don't feel the same since his first 2 songs that went super viral and had him really popping and moving around. So I've been waiting to see if he could spark that interest a little bit like Blueface. Could you get us as interested in you and what you're doing as you did when we first found out about you? And of course, it could be like, you know, for the fiends out there, like that first high that you're chasing. Yeah. But it's nowhere close, you know, like Rubbing Off the Paint and Bounce Out with that. Like if you look at the track with City Girls, I thought that it looked good on paper. With Tyga to it, right? Didn't work. You know, he was on the Top Box joint, but I think, you know, that was just a favorite for Hitmaker. And the Talking record, I'm listening to it, I'm like, when's the impact gonna happen? So unfortunately, you know, and I think he's a really dope dude, but I do think he's on the clock, and I don't think he could get out of this year without dropping a hit. If he gets out, he will not get out of this year and still be in the conversation. We'll look at him like he's washed up, to be honest.
YBN Nahmir is definitely on the clock. Reason why, and it's like, it's unfair to him, but Corday set the bar so high for YBN. You know, when we look at like, and Nahmir is dope.
How so?
How so? I'll say, okay, Nahmir comes out first, right? Then Almighty J comes after him. Then Corday gets added, right? At that time, they're all kind of equal. I wouldn't say like in skill-wise, but I'd say like perception-wise, as far as them being right next to each other, they're all kind of equal in space, right? Corday drops, yeah, they put out their mixtape and all of that. Let me finish. Yeah. Corday puts out, you know, they put out the YBN mixtape. Cool, they touring. Not saying that they ain't getting money, all that's cool, but Corday puts out his album and he fucking gets nominated for a Grammy, tons of respect, tons of accolades, touring the world, all this, that, and the third. I feel like he set the bar very high for their group. It's almost like how we thought with Quavo, and like with Quavo, I thought that when he dropped his album, that shit was gonna be so high level that how was Takeoff or Offset gonna even come close to it, because we did look at him as the Beyonce of the group. Nahmir, I thought that he, at one point in time, he was the most recognizable face. He was the biggest thing out of YBN. Now it's kind of shifted over to Corday. Almighty J, I don't know what's going on with him. But with Nahmir, he was kind of looked at as to be one of those next guys. Not saying that he isn't, he just hasn't shown improved. Like, you can't have potential forever. And I think that he has tons of potential, but he hasn't really tapped into it yet.
I disagree slightly on that, just based off, like, even in comparison to like the Migos. I think the more proper comparison is like comparison to QC, because they aren't really a group. They're more like, well.
I'm just thinking about them as being a collective, bro. For 1 year, they ran around with each other for the whole year. We had them on the show together. It wasn't just one or the other. We had all 3 of them at once.
Well, I do think that was a little bit part of Brandon and YBN,
Right.
but still, like, I look at it like this. This is how I kind of internalize it, right? So I look at it like, and again, not in terms of music or accolades or whatever, but they're the Migos, right? And pretty much, Nahmir's the Migos, Corday is Lil Baby. And you just came out and now you have kind of set the bar, and like people looking at you like, yo, you kind of either have the torch, and as you're looking at the guys who did it before to say, are you gonna come back with one? Because again, they're gonna have cycles. And I think that's a dope thing about like a collective, right? It's a dope thing about the Locks, like historically, right? Everybody has their own little cycle of when they're doing their thing.
Right.
Right? And then they come together in group projects.
Right.
I think we saw what Nahmir had. You know, Jay, maybe he didn't really like all the way materialize, but then Corday came and he's like, yo, what's up? So now it's like, yo, you're back, you're on the clock because it's your turn to drop now.
Yeah,
that's how I kind of look at it.
But I think like if he would have had like, you know, the like Hitmaker's record, the Thought Box record, if that would have been his record, that'd have been bigger for him as opposed to him just being on the hook or having a verse and a hook. You know what I'm saying? Like if he would have got a chance to have that record, that could have been the one for him.
I think he needs a super viral record.
Okay.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in the space where like for artists like Cordae, we judge them, and really they got on by, you know, being super viral with the music they made initially. Like we're kind of judging him a little bit unfairly now. Like, you know, like, I'm not even gonna lie.
He lived up to the hype. I feel like Cordae lived up to his hype, and I feel like Nahmir, I feel like he still has a chance to live up to his hype, but as of the last year, he just hasn't.
Well, in terms of Nahmir, what I'm saying is that like he had a super viral record, right? I listened to a couple of songs off supposedly his upcoming project, and for the first time, like, and I even talked to him, he said he feels like he's learning to make an album. And this is perception-wise, I don't think we care about that. It's like, where the motherfucking hits at, nigga? Like, you came out with hits at first, we want hits. I don't know if people will even give that the chance to be like, yo, he's making a complete body of work that might show progression. We might literally just judge him in 6 months from now off whether he's had a song that has worked.
Well, you know music is all what have you done for me lately.
Right.
I mean,
let's see. He could get it in the next 6 months.
He could get it the next week if he put out the record that he's been holding.
As opposed to Cordae, I think Cordae's judge of his projects, which is, you know, very different.
Right. He lived up to all of your pressure for sure, Cordae. All right, so here's an artist, you know, we're looking forward to see what he does in the next couple of years. For Fast Break today, we want to highlight Stunna from Vegas. So he's 24 years old, coming from North Carolina. He's had a few standout records, including Animal featuring DaBaby, and Up the Smoke featuring Offset. Now, he has 2 projects out, Big 4 Times and Rich Youngin. So in 2018, he signed to DaBaby's label Billion Dollar Baby Entertainment. Same year, he was featured on Baby's mixtape called Blank Blank. Last year, he was on his debut album, Baby on the track called Joggers. Currently, he's signed with Interscope Records, and he's also worked with people like Lil Baby, Black Youngsta, Young Nudie, and more. What do you guys like about Stunna for Vegas?
What I like about Stunna for Vegas the most is his energy. I like his energy and his personality. Of course, like being down with DaBaby, and you see the videos that he does, you know what I mean? Like where DaBaby, for him to have like so much street credibility, he's never uncomfortable dressing up in character or doing other shit. And I see that kind of rub off on Stunna. You know, originally, first few times hearing Stunna, I only liked him with DaBaby, but then listening to the 4 Times tape, you got a chance to like kind of tap into how he makes music. Like I like Stunna a lot. I think that when it comes to North Carolina, him and DaBaby and what they doing with Billion Dollar Baby Entertainment, South Coast, all of that they setting a new like precedent for South music. You know, because being that they're from North Carolina, they don't sound, everybody in New York or the North equates everyone to sounding one way, and they don't sound like they're from Atlanta. Stunna doesn't make the same type of records that Lil Baby makes or Collision on QC makes. Like he has his own little wave, and the interesting part about it is going to see if he could kind of step out the Baby shadow. Because I always feel like it is hard to come from under a big artist. You know what I mean? Like being the first artist from under a big artist. I mean, the notable people that have is like a Drake coming from a Wayne. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's hard to be a Memphis Bleak coming from a Jay. You know, you get a lot of unfair expectations. But I think that Stunna has his own way of doing things, and just the energy he brings. That's what I like mostly about him. I got a chance to see him and DaBaby at SOBs before like it super blew up, and just how they perform. Like they got a little set that they do amongst each other. So I really fuck with Stunna. Yeah,
I look at Stunna, and it's hard to like just even talk about him without even mentioning DaBaby as well. But like I look at Stunna and DaBaby like Key Glock and Dolph, and I see like a close association where like you also, like I think the big cloud that's hanging over him is that we know about him. We know like certain, at least if you're not like all the way in all his tapes, you know certain spots where like he's collaborated with them and you see him a lot. But you might be like, okay, why should I fuck with this dude other than the fact that he fuck with this other guy who's very successful, very popular. And honestly, I feel like he's developing his own swag. I feel like he's in the next 9 months, he's like he's doing the thing that would separate him from DaBaby, and also I think DaBaby's allowing him like, yo, nah, go do your thing, bro. That's very important. You gotta kick him out. Like you can't just have him showing up to everything with you. At first it's cool, But like, you gotta let him rock out on his own, go through his own trials and tribulation, kind of almost, you know, again, this is entertainment, form his own storylines and whatever, go through his own like ups and downs. So from what I'm seeing, like with his music, like I see people criticize him, like sometimes he be having like the same flow, but like honestly, like I think it's working for him right now.
Absolutely.
You know, like, so I think in the next 9 months, he just kind of stands on his own 2 feet in terms of how people perceive him, and is just kind of doing more independent stuff. I think he's definitely next up.
Yeah, I think a lot of, even with his tapes, I feel like his tapes is him still going through the motions of figuring out what his sound is actually gonna be, because he tries certain shit on certain records, but he kind of sticks more to what he knows, where people kind of compare him having the same type of flow. But it's gonna be interesting to see if Stunna can make a record that has like a hook with a P&B rock on it or some shit like that. Something that's a little bit out the box for him. But I think that, you know, the more shots he takes, eventually he'll find that shit.
Okay.
I think he got a great mentor with DaBaby.
Absolutely.
Shout out to
Take a few
DaBaby.
things from him.
All right, so we'll check in 6 months and see how he's doing. But meanwhile, DaBaby's having some issues of his own. So, you know, recently he apologized to the woman that he hit in the face at a concert after she hit him with her phone. He offered to fly her out and meet and talk about it. But now they're having trouble figuring out who the woman actually is. So there's one woman who's claiming to be the victim. She says TMZ was reporting that it was the woman next to her who got hit, but she said it was actually her. She had to go to the hospital to get treated for this, and she doesn't feel like his apology was even sincere. She says she feels really embarrassed. She's been receiving a lot of hate online. But meanwhile, DaBaby's attorney is claiming that this woman, her last name is Laws, is not the actual victim. He's telling TMZ that DaBaby slapped the person who hit him with the phone and not the person who was standing to the left or the right of the alleged victim. He says a lot of people have been reaching out and claiming that they're the person now. Are you guys surprised that this is happening?
I'm very surprised that somebody would claim a slap. That's the most shocking.
For money though?
No, not for money. I'm just saying, it's like, all right, we're saying that the girl with the phone hit him, right? And then she's like, nah, he didn't hit her.
He accidentally hit
me.
the person standing next to her.
But she's saying she's embarrassed. It's like, you didn't have to go to social media to handle it. You could have, if you were the person that got hit, I'm pretty sure it's probably hard to reach out, but if you really did get hit, there's ways and measures to do it. Once you start, people have so many different things that they could do before they hit send. You know, you record a whole video and you saying all of that, and you gotta add a caption, then you gotta, you know, add your hashtags, then you gotta tag whoever you want to tag in it, then you hit send. If you're facing embarrassment and all that, that's all to your own doing, because you didn't have to put this out in order to get your point across. If you were slapped and motherfuckers been reaching out, pretty sure you could have, you know, got in touch, and whatever he wanted to make happen for the person he allegedly hit, he could have, but you wanted that clout. You wanted to put yourself out there, so you got to take what comes with that, and that's public criticism.
Yeah, I mean, the embarrassment thing, you could look at it both ways, but like, I do think she probably looks at it and she said, yo, I'm seeing him making fun of me. You know, and by the way, this is the bag play.
Right.
Again, I'm not surprised that she's doing the bag play. Again, she's a woman that got slapped by a very popular male entertainer. Like, I don't even think there's anything embarrassing about that. It's embarrassing on DaBaby's side.
Yeah.
You slapped a fan. This doesn't play well. It doesn't play, whether it's her or another girl next to her, it doesn't play well. I've been saying this. A bag is gonna get distributed. And maybe it could have been done on some secret stuff, but I do think this chick went public because just like how DaBaby handles everything in his life, it turns to promo. It becomes promo. His downfalls becomes promo. His mistakes, the random run-ins with somebody in Louis Vuitton becomes promo. And maybe, and again, of course, you have imposters as well, kind of muddy in the situation. Maybe that's how you would have handled it. But then you've seen that, you're like, all right, cool. You know what? I did go to the hospital over that. I have the proof. Like, I don't think you're showing up on TMZ if you ain't never go to the hospital over some shit like that, right? So it's most likely her. She's probably saying, no, fuck it. I'm already being embarrassed because you're playing on the situation. I'm gonna make sure the bag is secure.
Nobody would have known. Like, that's my only thing. It's like, you know, I don't think that that's cool, you know, to make light of. Now, the Cam Cole Hart thing is a totally different situation, where it's like two men, a dude antagonizing you, trying to be tough, and then you make an example out of him. I think that this is a totally different situation. If you feel like he was making fun of this situation, handle that shit behind closed doors. You know, I think that it doesn't play out for DaBaby well. He loses no every way, shape, or form, because of course he made a mistake by just swinging blindly. He made it, like, now he wants to rectify the situation. So he's, whether he pays this person out or he flies them out, he's gonna have to pay something that he wouldn't have to pay anyway. I just don't think that you get it done faster by going on TMZ.
I definitely feel like you get more money that way. DaBaby was talking about, oh, I'll fly you out, apologize face to face, give you some tickets to the show. I'm cool off your shows if I'm that girl. I'm good, I got you, buddy. Give me $100,000. That's the only way that this pain and embarrassment could go away, okay? Because this cheek contusion and all the other side effects I've been experiencing. Give me the $100,000.
DaBaby's the Hulk now.
Right. Look, hopefully she's cool and they sort this out and he just learns a lesson. So we never have to report a story like this again, hopefully. On a final note today, this Jay Electronica album is really, really coming. 10 years later, Tidal has announced 3 listening events for the project coming up in New York, LA, and New Orleans. It's called A Written Testimony. And according to his math, because I believe in February 7th, he said 40 days, so that would be March 18th, which is next week, which I think is a Wednesday. But anyway, we know for sure that Jay is involved. We got a photo of them in the studio together from Young Guru.
As long as this, this Corona craze doesn't stop the listening sessions, for real. Like,
Are you going?
I mean, I would like to go, but the way things is happening, they canceling every fucking
Even if they cancel the listening sessions, I feel like this has to come out. Stop it. That would be a good reason to do it.
I got you.
Stop it. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for a Jay Electronica album. I actually was more excited 10 years ago before it was like such a thing, when the only thing you could find on Jay Electronica was snippets on YouTube. It was like videos that weren't over a minute. I felt like the shit that he did was like, it was different than any type of promo you could have done. And I don't feel like it was real promo. I just felt like he just didn't finish a lot of shit he was starting. But I am excited to hear Jay Electronica because he's a fucking rapper and he can rap his ass off. So I do want to hear this. But I won't believe it until I see it.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years is obviously beyond on the clock.
Right.
So what do you think the average fan's anticipation is at this point?
Why now?
Care for this?
I care not for this. Like, the only care I have for this is because I see other people care. And it's like a few of the people who, like, this is the type of, like, they've been waiting for this really and been really invested. I was never really that invested in, like, oh my God, he's gonna, like, change the landscape of music. That was the thought. I do think that I'm down to listen to hear how someone deals with 10 years of pressure. I believe that the reason we never got Detox is not because it didn't exist or Dre didn't want to put it out. It was never gonna live up to the fucking hype.
I don't think this is pressure for him though. I think it's just more. Yeah, I don't really think that it was ever pressure. I truly believe that the whole shit. Yeah, I don't.
There might have been pressure around 2010 or 11, but at this point,
because I think like Jay Electronica, this is for me. Having my little run-ins with him or knowing people that knows him, he's a very move on person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he could be super focused on one thing and just stop and then go to something else. And that might not be music. That might just be him sitting and just watching videos for a whole week. For real, like that.
So what has he been doing for the past few years? Do you know?
The only thing I do know is that he had, I don't know if he still is, but he had got with some billionaire chick
that
or whatever.
That was the look.
Yeah, I remember that. But other than that, musically, there hasn't been much. But the reason why I am excited is because when he dropped Exhibit C, everybody thought that like, this was gonna be some sort of savior when it came to hip hop as far as like lyrical ability, that he was gonna drop some fucking classic album, and then Kendrick Lamar came and defeated all of that. So I think that I'm personally excited for it because I want to see what he's been doing over this past 10 years, or if it was the last 40 days. Okay. Like there's not a time I don't want to hear a rapper like him rap.
Okay.
If this is not a classic, I think it's a failure. Because I do think
what makes a classic for him?
Oh, we don't have time to debate a classic.
I know, like,
no, because, and I do think he thinks that. You know why? Because I do think he felt super offended. We saw him on live ranting like a madman after people was looking or talking about his verse on Control as an afterthought to what Kendrick did. He felt really offended. I do think that he, like, maybe not changing music, but this should be like, yo, classic, or at least like, yo, damn.
I will say this lastly, the only thing that will truly disappoint me about this is if Just Blaze is not involved.
Okay.
If Just Blaze is not involved in this, I'm gonna be a little bit upset.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, let's see. It's coming next week. That's pretty soon. In the meantime, everybody, stay safe out there. Sanitize, wash your hands. Don't walk around looking like this guy. It's unnecessary.
No, you might have to.
No.
All right.
Stay sanitized.
Okay.
Stay home. Send us some fan questions. We'll see you guys Monday on Everyday Struggle.
Remember these two.